Hey guys, I'm Tiffany and welcome to the Wise Skies podcast, which I'm also recording to upload to YouTube. This is the November skies. So I'm looking at what's going on in the astrology in the month of November. This is the kind of soup that we're all swimming in. This is what affects everybody. So if you're used to reading your individual horoscope, this is a little different, right? This is what's going on with each of the planets and what we can expect energy-wise in the month of November. So November is very different than October. I do feel like we're going to have a significant shift in the energy. I know that October, when I was looking at the year ahead, right, October was anticipated as being one of the more difficult and challenging months of the year. And so here in the US, we're facing the election on November 3rd too. So if you are interested in my election forecasts or astro-hacking the election, I encourage you to check out that version, episode of the podcast, and I also have it as an article. So before we jump in, if you're new, I'm so glad you're here. And this is all written out for you. You don't have to take notes at wiseskiesadvice.com. We have some changes coming up in Wise Skies, which I'm excited to announce in December. But for now, you can go to wiseskiesadvice.com and get the whole article of November. It's all written out for you. So what changes in the astrology? First of all, on November 3rd, Mercury will go direct, and that's election day, right? That is not necessarily an ideal situation. So we are definitely expecting delays. We are definitely expecting even a delayed result. And so knowing that in advance, it can kind of cool our engines a little bit as we begin to work with the astrology instead of fighting and bracing against it. But Mercury will go direct in Libra, okay, in the sign of the scales of justice, where things are fair and balanced, right? So we're hoping to see this shift happen as Mercury goes direct, but it often is just going to be like a time when things are a little bit more slow than we had in mind. So we'll be patient this first week of November. Just to give you the overview, November 10th, Mercury will then enter Scorpio. On the 10th and 11th, the Taurids meteor shower peaks, so you can wish on a shooting star. On November 11th, I'm hosting a class with guest lecturer Sasha Boyle with the Astrology of Yoga. And so I'm really looking forward to her discussion on the intersection of astrology and yoga. On the 13th, Mars will go direct. So Mars has been retrograde for quite some time. It will go direct in 14 degrees of Aries and stay in Aries for the rest of the year. It will get out of Aries in January when he moves into Taurus. And then let's see, we've got a new moon in Scorpio on the 15th. The Leonids meteor shower peaks on the 17th and 18th. On the 21st, Venus will enter Scorpio and the sun will enter Sagittarius on the same fun changes, I guess, in the magic of it. Cool. Audio device, it says, has been removed. Just gonna try to keep going here. Okay, continue. Okay, so we're back. Yeah, so I was saying on the 21st, Venus moves into Scorpio, the sun moves into Sagittarius. It gives us some juicy energy to play with. And then Neptune will go direct on November 29th. On the 30th, we get a full moon in Gemini. Okay, so that's the lay of the land. And now we're going to kind of dive a little bit deeper and go week by week and see what we're thinking, how that's going to play out. First of all, November shifts from a 5-month to a 6-month in numerology. So the energy of the 5, if you think of the 5-pointed star, it can feel very chaotic. You can feel pulled in many directions. And some people feel very indecisive, like there's so many options, you don't know what to do or what direction to go in. Well, that shifts in November into a 6. And I love having the 6 energy in the month of November because it's generally a more reflective time anyways, right? So the sun will have been in Scorpio, will have been kind of on this involution, this looking inwards. And the same thing with Mars retrograde too. It's this involution energy. Stuff is bubbling up for review and we're a little bit more reflective, generally speaking. But the 6th energy in numerology is about self-care. It's about nurturing yourself. It's about spending time with your loved ones at home. And really it's about nesting. Okay, and we're in a 4 year, which is all about organization. And so maybe this is the year that you get the Norman Rockwell holiday. Like, I don't know, but but having this 6 energy to usher in November already feels a little bit more comforting to me personally. Okay, so that's a little bit about the numerology. If you want to play with some crystal magic, I encourage you to pick up a citrine. The citrine reminds me of the saying, "To thine own self be true." A lot of people will tell you it's about abundance and prosperity, and that's good, but it's also one of the Scorpio stones or crystals. And so I just thought if you want a little extra crystal magic, maybe the citrine would be fun to play with. Okay, let's look at the first week of November. The first week of November, we've got Mercury squaring Saturn, and we've got Venus opposing Chiron. And so to me, I feel like that could be a test of endurance. It could be more emotions on the surface. You know, you can have some fears bubble up, so you can just keep asking yourself, what am I afraid of here? You can write if-then statements, something that I do with a lot of my clients in one-on-one work. If this happens, then what? If that happens, then what? And kind of get down to the base of all of those fears, because with Venus opposing Chiron, I just feel like there's going to be some matters of the heart. And then on Sunday, November 1st, the very first day, is the Day of the Dead. And so in our household, for the last several years, we've been getting out old black and white photos of all of our family that we have pictures of, and just setting out tea lights and kind of inviting them to dinner, if you will. You can set out crystals or pine cones or gourds or whatever else you want to just kind of bring them back into your home for that special day, just remembering their souls. And so this is a good time of year to get any mediumship work. If you'd like to do some mediumship work with me, I invite you to try that. So this first week in November, with Mercury squaring Saturn and Venus opposing Chiron, what does that mean for our love life? Well, I think some of the relationship issues will begin to lift. You know, Mercury, you know, I just don't think we're out of the woods with Mercury retrograde, but it will lift. And so just go easy on yourself and others. Like, see what's fair to all involved. See if you can see something from another person's point of view, right, Libra? So this is not the best time to make big decisions or vows of commitment, right? I'm not saying if you're planning on getting married, don't. I'm just saying, watch what you're jumping into at this season in your love life. Money, you know, this is a more conservative period, so save some. Prepare for some big expenses maybe later in the month. And then in health, just go slow. You might be feeling a little bit more lethargic. At any time we have planets coming out of retrograde or going into retrograde, the energy slows down a little bit and there's kind of a sense of frustration. It almost feels like a moon void of course period. So in your health, just slow down. The weekend vibes, that first weekend we get, what did I write here? Oh, we've got a last quarter moon in 16 degrees of Leo on Sunday. So notice if you have anything in 16 degrees. Notice what you have going on close to that in Leo. This is a yin phase of the moon, and it signifies more of a receptive period where you're willing to trust and surrender. So whatever seeds have been planted, this is a moon of having great faith, right? So let's see, some strategic self-care. If you use the numerology code of the 6 and the 4, plan something in there to take care of yourself. The next week, November 9th through 15th, this is when we get our first little November meteor shower on the 10th and the 11th. So maybe star that in your calendar and be sure you go outside and look up. Really connecting with the night skies makes this practice of astrology and the study of astrology real for you. So what's going on interesting this week is that the second Jupiter-Pluto conjunction occurs. This was one of the major astrological themes that we were predicting in 2020. And so there's different trends going on in the collective consciousness right now. And so if you think about what Jupiter and Pluto does, Jupiter magnifies and Pluto kind of upends. Pluto kind of digs deep and sees what's underneath. The underbelly is unearthing things. Bringing out truths and stuff that we may or may not want to look at, right? But it's there to kind of bring things up, and Pluto makes it louder. The themes around Jupiter and Pluto, you can look at publishing, you can look at lawsuits, right? The justice system with Jupiter. And then with Pluto, you can look at things like the mysteries, the afterlife, death, enlightenment, reincarnation, yoga, right? And so at a personal level, some people are probably experiencing a sort of mini death, a sort of dark night of the soul, a sort of dark night of the ego, right? And so this is a time for people to really reflect on any suffering, any lessons that they've learned from suffering, or any positive growth they've been experiencing as a result of this kind of culmination of this very loud ending, right? And so also, Jupiter does bring good luck in wherever it affects, wherever it is, right? So Jupiter being a good luck omen for you, some of you might be receiving an inheritance, a gift from the past. You might be interested in studying your family lineage, and some of you might be interested in more metaphysical studies, metaphysical classes, right? And so I encourage you to see what's on our roster at Wise Skies. We've had ancient Egyptian magic, we teach about tarot, we teach about astrology, mediumship, and now astrology of yoga, right? So subtle synchronicity, subtle good luck. We're still on November 9th through 15th. There's a lot going on. This is the busier week of the whole month. So hang out with me while I keep talking about this week, right? We've got, let's see, Neptune, something good is happening with you. So yeah, so good luck, inspiration is enhanced. So if you think about when Neptune experiences a positive transit, here, when it gets affected positively, you can find good omens in all of the things that Neptune rules or governs or represents, right? So creative thinking, you know, artists, the sea, inner peace and tranquility, insights, magic, music, performances, entertainment, right? And so there's an extra little magic dose for you in all things Neptune this week. Mercury will enter Scorpio and Mars will go direct. So Mercury is in Scorpio from November 10th to December 1st. And so Mercury represents how we think about things. It rules our mind, our learning processes, how we understand the world around us. You know, I wish a lot of the school systems and caregivers that are teaching would understand where their kids' Mercury was, because they would understand the way that person thinks, right? And just like we have a love language, we kind of have a thinking language, if you will, right? So in Scorpio is a fixed sign. And so when Mercury is in Scorpio, a lot of us have a more fixed approach of life. Things are black or white. You tend to kind of get into a pattern. So, you know, people can be more blunt. The humor can be more dark. This is a good time of a year to release mysteries, right? Scorpio. So if you're like writing, right, you want to, or if you're watching movies or reading books or any source of entertainment, this is a time of year when we like kind of the darker subjects too. Okay, so let's see, Mars direct I mentioned in Aries. This is a big one because Mars has been in Aries in 2020, or will have been for a 6-month period, which is really unprecedented, really unusual, I should say. Maybe unprecedented was a little dramatic, but very unusual. So Mars is where we have like our aggression and our yang energy and our drive and our motivation and our stamina, right? And in Aries, it's like the first sign of the zodiac. So we think of anything that we have internalized just coming up and resurfacing for clearing. It's good, right? But you want to pick your battles. There's a more competitive nature to life going on. People are feeling a little extra frisky out there. They might be more willing to honk their horn than they normally do, or flip the bird, or whatever it is, right? There's just this sense of like, rah, like I'm about to explode out there. And so you just kind of want to keep watching and observing your own emotions. Nonviolent Communication is a great book for if we want to read that collectively again. But, you know, reassess what you want, focus on your priorities, right? Mars, you could really harness this energy in a positive way, right? It doesn't have to be all splurts of temper tantrums out there. It can be really focused into something singular, Aries, right? So we can also predict warmer weather when Mars is in Aries, so we may or may not have a warmer winter. I've just read that from some of the astrologers I like to follow, so possibly a little bit of a warmer weather pattern going on. So this week, let's review it in love. If relationship issues flare up, right? Where can you create healthy boundaries? Where can you stand up for yourself but not against the other person? You know, where can you give yourself a little time to heal or to grieve or to transcend some of these issues that have been bubbling up? You know, with all that Scorpio energy too, I feel like it's a really magnetic week for you. Like it's a really, it's a time when you're drawn sometimes to your opposites. So just being aware of that energy and observing it and being curious about it, right? That can lighten things up a little bit. So in money, again, I'm still saying avoid major purchases at this time if you can. It's not always possible. Sometimes things break and you just got to fix them. But there is a little bit of this Two of Swords energy this week. And so it's almost like decisions come at a cost. So just being careful with weighing your decisions, maybe asking a mentor for feedback before you make huge financial decisions. In health, okay, we want to avoid toxic people, places, substances, and being disillusioned, right? So the antidote here, if you're feeling like, oh, I'm just, my alliances are a little bit dark right now, or I'm looking at things and it just looks gross out there, or I realize I'm putting myself in a situation over and over again. Just the antidote here is really to be of service, to cleanse, to purge with kindness. And then also just to watch out for accidents in health this week, because I think that people are going to be more preoccupied. So just being aware of that, right? Accident prone week. Over the weekend, we'll get a Scorpio New Moon on Saturday, November 14th. I report from Texas and Central Standard Time. And so for us, this is 11:06 p.m. at night. And if you read Jan Spiller's classic book on new moon astrology, she will have taught you that you want to make your new moon wishes the hour of the new moon going forward within the following 8 hours. It doesn't do a lot of astrological good to make your wishes, intentions, and prayers before. So that's kind of late for us, right? So if you're staying up late to do a new moon wish, it's going to be in the sign, in the constellation of Scorpio. And just a little bit of a pro tip. So I don't really coach people to just make wishes and hope that they're going to come true and trust that it will, because that's almost conjuring a lack mentality. It's almost conjuring like this sense that I don't have it and I'm never going to get it and you're never going to give it to me, you know, wish list in the sky. So instead, can you focus on the feeling of already having that thing that you're hoping to bring into your world? Can you kind of take a master class in intention setting and just believe that it's there? So believe in what you pray for with the Scorpio new moon. The Scorpio new moon, you want to ask yourself, what is evolving and dissolving? You know, what doesn't evolve will dissolve in 2021. So what is changing? You know, what's growing and what's not? So that with the Scorpio new moon, you want to look at these particular areas, things that are ruled by the Scorpio constellation. I don't think that's the way you say that. Sorry, astrologers. I'm a little nervous watching myself video this podcast, but this is what the areas of Scorpio are. The ability to execute and complete projects, right? We've had all of this Mars and Aries energy. We've been ready to go, start things. Well, the new moon in Scorpio helps you see it through to the end. Scorpio rules transcendence and growth and rebirth, our passions, our desires, our interest in connecting deeply with another soul, self-discovery. It rules our resourcefulness. It rules magic and metaphysics. And it rules over power. So healing any power struggles you may have had, or where you may have given your power away, or where you may have felt a loss of a sense of authority over your own life. You know, those things can be healed under this moon. Making new financial pathways, healing some of the bad behaviors of Scorpio, right? Like healing jealousy and resentment and revenge and all the things that you love to hate about us Scorpios. Those things can be healed in each of us, right? Scorpio rules the sex organs and the elimination organs. So if you're needing a healing in those areas, that's a good time to seek that. You know, ask who can you bring on my path that would help with the healing in those areas. Those types of ideas and journaling will be useful. Okay, let's see. The week of November 16th through 22nd, you can catch another shooting star maybe because the Leonids come out the 17th and 18th. So depending on where you are in the weather, I just invite you to go out and look up again. This is a week when less is more. There are still some challenges in the sky, so don't let other people pull you off course. Remember that 6-4 energy and just keep taking care of yourself. Keep asking yourself what's most loving for you, 6, with some healthy boundaries, 4. Right. So also be careful what you wish for. Mercury is going to oppose Uranus. So if Mercury rules how we think and how we process information and all of our newsletters and ads and texts and phone calls and all of that stuff is very mercurial. Uranus is more of the wizard in the sky that just like poof changes things. Uranus radically resolves that which you thought could not be resolved. And so with Mercury opposing it, it's almost like this combustive solution is available. So if you were somebody who, this is a really bad example, if you were somebody who kind of let somebody use you forever and you kept hoping that it was going to change, it's like all of a sudden, poof, that person leaves and you're left like dealing with your codependent issues. It's the situation is solved for you and it's kind of shocking and you're not really sure where to land or how to get your sea legs, right? This can be positive too. So if you've had a long-term issue, maybe this is the week that you get some resolution or some new ideas, and maybe it's uncomfortable, and maybe it's okay to have a human moment and be uncomfortable, right? So kyanite will help you balance your energy if you want to grab a crystal wand or crystals of kyanite. I'm like crystal bowl. That's not making any sense either. So this week's November 16th through 22nd in love. Let your heart be your guide. You know, when you're sitting down for meditation and you're quiet and everything's quiet and it's going so well, and then all of a sudden you start this and it's like your heart is becoming the metronome for you. Well, that's like a reminder, hey, I'm here. I'm a guiding force for you. And so listening to what's most loving for you, what is calling your heart, it's such simple advice, but are you really doing that throughout the day? Or are you just going through a very Mercurius checklist, right? To do. Or is it what feels most loving, you know? In money, same thing, Venus squares Saturn. You know, this isn't really the right time to make big, huge commitments or make big spends. So just be aware of overcommitting right now with your time, with your expenses, and with your people. That leads me to health. And so with some positive Saturn vibes going on, we've got this is a good time also for personal development, looking within, like we were talking about. Saturn rules our bones and our structures of our life. So if you're needing to make chiropractic appointments or dental appointments, those could be favorable this week as well. And then over the weekend, we get a change of celestial guards. Venus, the goddess of love and money and luxury and balance and beauty and softness and femininity. She enters Scorpio, right? Sexy Scorpio, and the sun dances into Sagittarius. So happy birthday to our Scorpios and our Sagittarius in November. This is a time of year when we tend to feel things a little bit more deeply than usual. So just remembering to not take things so personally. People aren't out there driving traffic at you, right? They're just living their lives going where they need to go. When people text you, they're not texting at you. They're trying to communicate to receive love and affection just like you are, right? A lot of times. So, so just as the weekend comes, we're experiencing the more sensual side of life. There is a Sun and Mars semi-square, which can add extra energy to a first quarter moon that's going down on Sunday. So the first quarter moon is in 0 degrees of Pisces. I get so excited when it's in 0. I don't know, 0, the great equalizer, right? And so a first quarter moon is a yang phase. So it signifies decision-making and action plans and getting determined. And, you know, here I'm saying, like, don't make these huge commitments, but it's okay to get a sense of determination and to get a sense of long-term planning and doing the next right thing. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to work out the way that you thought, but doing the next right thing is really important during this first quarter moon. And it's in Pisces, so towards your dreams, right? One small step towards your dreams. That's what I'm going to invite you to do. So it looks like everything's still recording. That's awesome. The next week, November 23rd through 29th, A little bit of mischief in the air, a little bit of illusions and plot twists. Venus is going to semi-square Neptune, and I don't love that. Okay, this can feel like you're getting played a little bit. You know, this can be like you thought your teacher was this great guru, and then all of a sudden you get an aha moment that no, that's not necessarily the case. So there's wisdom in some of the wounds that are bubbling up this week. So messages and patterns that are coming at you, just really look at them and see if you can identify them as simply that, as just a pattern. Why are you attracted to it? To thine own self be true. If things are going well, awesome. You're overriding some of the harsher astrology. Now, we've been conservative with money, we've been conservative with business all month, but this is the week where you can let it all out. This is the week where you want to be developing the business of you. You want to be launching a new creative advertising that focuses on your face. You know, you want to stand behind your business. You want to put yourself in the logo. Maybe you're not in business and you just want a brand new look, and you get some new throw pillows for your couch, or you redecorate a little bit. You want to get a splash of newness going on. It's a good time to get new headshots made. And generally speaking, it's a good week to put your best foot forward. So a lot of mixed emotions going on. And then over Thanksgiving, the sun is going to trine Chiron. There's going to be a Taurus moon. I mean, what more perfect moon is there for Thanksgiving, right? So it's a good time to connect with your mentors, your friends, your family, and allow some healing to occur. Chiron represents the wounded healer, and it's in a positive position to the sun, the solar rays. And so this is a good time to bring it all to the table, not to argue, but to just love each other, and to remember how short life is, and to just be at peace and enjoy a good meal, right? The Taurus moon. Now, I say that, but every party has a pooper, okay? So taking care of the vibe inside of how you're showing up. So are you showing up to get something? Well, can you maybe have the spirit of Thanksgiving and show up to offer and give and take nothing personally, and really be a family leader here? So I feel like there's some more Uranus things going on. And so I just feel like there's going to be a few shockers at the Thanksgiving table. So just take some red jasper with you. That brings you stability and healing. And maybe some rose quartz, right? That's really sweet for comforting, and taps into the numerology of the 6-4 vibe. So in love, like I said, just watch out for getting played, or putting your belief in something that isn't necessarily serving you anymore. Watch out who you're hanging out with. So groups, alliances, relationships, all of that is changing. In December, we're getting a brand new 200-year cycle, and we're shifting from earth into air. And so it's very common that groups are going to dissolve, or alliances are going to dissolve, and different friendships are going to be made. Okay. So just know that in your love life too. In money, this is, like I was saying, like we've waited all month, and now we get the opportunity knocks, I should say. Mercury is going to sextile Jupiter, and Saturn is going to trine Neptune. So it's a good time to interview. It's a good time to write resumes, or self-promote, or do media interviews, conduct book signings, right? Exploring any opportunities you have with publishing and spirituality, higher education, all of these things that Jupiter rules. Whatever you think about grows with Jupiter. Jupiter expands. Again, if you're launching a new business, if you're doing a ribbon cutting, if you're having a house blessing at your home, things like this, a newsletter announcing a new product. So consider that. You know, Black Friday is a time when a lot of people put stuff on sales, and it's a time when a lot of people boycott shopping altogether. So this is something to just notice in the energy. I'm not supporting either one, right? I have some special announcements, but I'm going to wait for the 200-year cycle to start, which happens to be on winter solstice for us this year on December 21st. So money, what else can I tell you? I'm suggesting that you start the day with an intention that incorporates your higher purpose, right? And so these little steps that we're taking, this new set of determination that we're feeling, this shift of energy that can be positive and can also be overwhelming sometimes. If you just start the day with a little intention, how can you incorporate all the elements, earth, fire, water, air, into your morning meditation, and just play with that a little bit. In your health, I'm just saying, get a second opinion, check your motivation, and just don't overbook yourself. Just take it easy. Don't try to get it all done. Plan ahead for that important thing that you want, and then just, continue to go slow. Over the weekend, Neptune will turn direct on Sunday. So I feel like this is Thanksgiving week is a perfect week to just veg out and go slow. So set yourself up for a calm weekend. If you're in the mood to journal, Neptune rules our dreams and our meditations. So are you getting insights about your dreams? Are you understanding what's possible, what's blurring the lines between fantasy and reality? Those are some things you could journal with if you want to play with that. And then Sunday night, we get a full moon in Gemini. So it's happening at 3:30 a.m. on Monday, November 30th, technically, right? So Sunday night, you'll be able to look up and see the beautiful full moon. And if you want to get up at 3:30 Central Time, that is, in the morning to experience the most potent hour when the full moon gets direct, it happens in 8 degrees of Gemini. So notice, where is 8 degrees of Gemini in your chart? Is it in the first house of self and you're putting down a little bit of ego? Is it in the second house of money and finances? Is it in the third house of communication? Is it in the fourth house of home and family? And you can go around the chart, right? But wherever 8 degrees of Gemini is in your chart, what house is that in? And what does that mean for you? What sense of closure or completion are you coming up with in that particular house's theme? I have a bunch of freebies at Wise Skies. So if you need help knowing what your house theme is, or just want some extra resources, please go to the freebies page at wiseskiesadvice.com. So what else? This full moon, it is an eclipse. So feeling like the energy of 100 days and 24 hours is common. And setting intentions in all things Gemini, right? So you're finding a sense of closure, a sense of wrapping things up, tidying up loose ends in all things Gemini. So completing your Gemini, like rules the hands and writing and editing and speaking and reading and all of those ways that we communicate. So if you're wrapping up a book series, if you're completing a new course, like things like that, you want to find a sense of closure with all things Gemini. Gemini is mentally very stimulating, very intellectual, very smart, very quick-witted. Okay, and so if you've been overly stimulated mentally, it's like, what project can I close right now so that I can focus on the thing that I need to focus on? This is a great time to set micro goals. It's a great time to engage with social opportunities, right? So Gemini is the social butterfly of the zodiac. And any work that you want to do with your hands, like handyman work, craftsman work, artistry, music, playing instruments, knitting, right, crocheting. So I will probably be doing that. I will probably be finishing up a bunch of scarves. Okay. So let's see, discernment and overcommitting, overthinking, and impulsivity are going to be more themes of this Gemini full moon. All right, guys, so that wraps up November. That's a lot to take in. As you can see, there's a lot of ebbs and flows. I have a free version of the calendar that I basically just reviewed for you on wiseskiesadvice.com on the calendar page, and you can click around on it. You can click on each day and see a description of what I have forecasted for the astrology. So I encourage you to play with that as a free resource. If you would like to work with me for astrology, tarot, mediumship, please schedule with me on the services page. If you're able to make a virtual tip, I certainly appreciate it. I know it's not in everybody's budget, but it does mean a lot to me, and I'll put the links up for you. And other than that, let's go into September. Let's go into November wisely, calmly, and just paying attention to the wisdom of the heart. This is, you can't really make a mistake if you go slow. Nobody gets hurt, as one of my mentors says. I hope you'll join me for free Tarot Fridays. I do free Tarot readings every Friday at noon Central Time on the Facebook page, and then I repost it here on YouTube. And I appreciate your comments. This is the first time I'm trying to video my podcast. So again, I'm feeling like I'm looking at myself. I'm making sure the podcast is going. I'm making sure I haven't forgot anything on my notes. So I welcome your feedback. I want to make this fun, positive for you. And I'll just seal this reading here in a sacred healing chamber and wish each of you a blessed November as we go into a very special time of the year. Okay, perfect. Namaste.